Power Motion Picnic Hour, sometimes a special guest. Say your name, special guest.
Kristina Folcik.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Power Motion Picnic Hour. As always, I'm your host, Dave, and as always, alongside me is...
Trevor.
Oh, Trevor, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing just wonderful. How are you, Dave?
Doing good. I'm very excited to be back on pod. Just doing what feels good. Some soul casting, as we call it in the industry. What's going on over there in the Metro West area of Boston?
Well, the weather's been always answer that question by talking about the weather.
Yeah, the weather's
that's what
fine.
People do,
yeah.
right? Yeah, the weather.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, we've had like a little bit of snow, but also like quickly frozen. It's been a very cold couple days, so the ground's been a bit of a mess. I could post a picture perhaps of Lenny running on just a sheet of ice this morning.
I think people want to see that. I know I want to see that. As I've stated previously, this is my second favorite season.
I love this season, and it's actually, yeah, you put the spikes on and run in the woods on it, and it's actually quite nice. Although today it was getting a bit mushy.
I'll have to give that a try.
Parts.
We did, as listeners might have heard in our intro, we had a special guest, which was very exciting, and we talked about running in different conditions, I guess, as you'd say.
Different conditions, different terrain. Yeah, it was a wonderful conversation, and thank you, Kristina, so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you. I guess we should probably get to that pretty quickly, although I would like to just have one correction from the last episode off the top.
I've got one too.
It might be the same one. We did say that was the second to last episode of season 2.
Oh, yep.
But actually, this is the second to last episode of season 2.
That's right.
And
this is our second penultimate episode. We thought the last one was.
We're milking that for all it's worth, but we'll be back next episode to do the season finale, which will be probably the most exciting, star-studded, eventful episode since the year in running episode that we did at the end of 2023.
Yeah, about 2 episodes ago.
So I don't want people to get too excited, but yeah, big things.
Big things. Big things to be planned. So I actually had a different fact check. I did have that one too. Yeah. Okay. But the second one was we went to follow up on special guest Brenda Netter's request for like running ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And we went off on a quick sort of guessing game of mountains in California that might be close to LA.
Yeah.
Such as Shasta, Mammoth, Wittenberg. At least those were the ones I said. And I found that the correction is none of those mountains are anywhere close to LA.
5.5 hours, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah.
I realized
Shasta's like way north.
Okay.
Wittenberg's near San Francisco, and Mammoth is like maybe 5 or 6.
And I suggested things that weren't mountains.
Perhaps you started naming neighborhoods of LA, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. I named like neighborhoods just outside Los Angeles County, basically in a couple different directions, which wasn't the question.
No. But so to make up for it, I did do a little bit of research. So for Brendan, I'm recommending a trail run.
Okay.
Because that's usually what I do. It's actually exclusively my recommendations.
You spend a lot of time in our interview, which we'll get to in a minute, doing that.
Did you ever think about going on a trail run? What trail runs have you thought about recently?
Here's something you might want to think about.
Yeah, Dave's thinking about a trail run. Yeah. At least I'm thinking about Dave.
You know what I'm thinking about Dave thinking about is trail runs.
Trail runs. So a very special presentation for Brendan. We've got and happy to send these over by another outbound mailbag mechanism, but I've got Colby Canyon, Strawberry Spur, and Josephine Peak Loop.
Okay.
Which delivers about 1,500 feet of gain, I think it'll be a challenge since Brendan runs, I think, more on flatter ground. 5.7 miles, and it looks like I think that one's within, well, this correction coming up for the finale, but
yep.
I think that one's in like about an hour of LA, maybe 45 minutes.
Okay, I love the cliffhanger nature of that quote unquote fact. So we'll find out next week just how far it is.
Yeah, and the second choice is Waterman Mountain Loop Trail, 5.8 miles, 1,300 feet. I think that one might be a little bit further away, hour and a half perhaps.
Sounds beautiful.
A little bit further up into the mountains. They both look, yeah, there's some mountains a little bit east of LA that look really nice. And I think where he is, yeah, just sort of shoot northeast a bit. And nice feature about both of these is their loops.
Okay, so yeah, you don't get lost, you don't turn around, you go until you're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I like
All
that.
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll follow up on that next week, and I don't know what other new business we have to discuss, but I think maybe we should hit that at the end of the episode, and maybe let's just go to our interview with Kristina right now because that was so wonderful, and I learned and laughed so much.
Let's do it.
This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. This is the only thing I use a wired headphone for because my phone doesn't accept the wire, you know?
Yeah. It's funny.
Until recently, you were like running with the wire, right? You liked the wire?
I love the wire. I would still be running. I got a new phone in July, and so I had to get new headphones. So now these are only for podcasting. But yeah, I couldn't believe it that happened. I kind of when I run outside, I don't listen to music or anything. But if I'm on a treadmill, I do sometimes listen to music or other podcasts or things like that. And my favorite moment is when I accidentally would hit the wire out of my ears and knock the phone onto the treadmill, and everyone in the gym looks at me. So that's never gonna happen again. I don't get to who is that? That's it's like a slapstick comedy routine that
yeah, it's like Harvey Dangerfield or something.
Yeah. I was thinking almost you ever see that one of Dick Van Dyke when he's pretending to be blown away by the wind?
I don't think so.
It's amazing. Okay. Anyway, I came up once in something I was reading about who invented the moonwalk, like the dance, and it's possibly Dick Van Dyke while pretending to be blown away by a strong breeze.
Oh, that's funny.
It's amazing.
I think I can kind of picture it, or maybe I'm just making up the image AI style in my mind. But he's got an umbrella or something dragging him away. Is that right?
I think you've got it. Yeah, I think you've seen it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I guess customarily we like to start, if you don't mind, Kristina, just with brief introduction, if you don't mind just sort of saying your name and just a little bit about yourself. It could be really anything.
So I'm Kristina Folcik. I am a retired athlete, and now I coach athletes, and I help people on both their mental and physical journey with mostly running, but also triathlon and mountain biking and cycling.
Awesome.
And I still work out a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to stop, right?
It is.
I saw some NBA on TNT where they asked Charles Barkley when was the last time he played basketball, and he said it was the last game before he retired. Or something like that, and he claims he hasn't worked out since.
I don't know. Endurance athletes are different. That's a forever thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different high, right?
It is.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Excited to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So yeah, I mean, look, we'd love to talk about kind of what you're up to now and directing races and coaching and all that, and also sort of your history of running too, because you've done a ton of impressive stuff. So I don't know how much podcasting you do. If we don't want to make you repeat yourself too much, you can just sort of point the listeners in a direction of where you've already said certain things. But yeah, we're pretty open. I don't know, maybe tell us a little bit about kind of how you split your time and sort of where you do your running over the course of the year.
Yeah. So I was a dental hygienist for 10 million years, and COVID did me in. So I had to kind of figure out how to transition, and hosting the races and then coaching athletes became my new profession. So the cool thing about that is I work remote now. My partner Rem, who couldn't make it tonight, he also works remote. And we came out here. I signed up to do a 100-mile race just for fun, the Javelina 100. And I had to, I got really sick. The sun out here just wants to murder you in Arizona. So we randomly came out for this race, and we like to joke around and say that we reconnected with some friends that I'd known since I was a teenager, went to a wine tasting and bought a house. But
I like that.
The truth is we came out here, fell in love with it. And, I sold my house back in New Hampshire. Rem has a house in New Hampshire. And then we decided we would split our time between the two places, which is really cool because as much as I loved winter and I loved winter in the mountains and Rem loved winter in the mountains, we really like being able to be on dirt and have sunshine almost every single day. Except for today, it rained all day and then it was a rainbow. But
I'm sure it's worse here. I'm in New York. It's pretty freezing, 35-degree rain here.
Yeah, no, 16 raining, but it was just kind of cool how we both ended up out here in both places, and then we direct the races in New Hampshire. And another cool part about Arizona was we connected with Aravaipa Running, and it was a real struggle financially, emotionally. We didn't have the support we needed to keep hosting these races in New Hampshire, but I really wanted to keep them going. So Ram and I reached out and partnered with Aravaipa. They acquired the races and they took us on as race directors. So still there, still the face of the races, still directing races, but as an employee instead of an owner, so that I can focus on the coaching. Ram can focus on his, I'm not sure what he does, computers. And take our dogs out a lot.
I was gonna say we can edit that out if you want, although I like leaving it in for entertainment value. That's probably good. Yeah.
Oh no, he doesn't care.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's computers.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand what's going on with that whole computer business either. We kicked this off with me not being able to find some of my equipment. So
yeah, he had to teach me how to do Zoom so I could actually do this remote coaching thing, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
how does that work? Yeah, how's remote coaching working? Do you enjoy it? Does it feel effective?
It's amazing, and I think part of my inspiration was having physical therapy via Zoom. And I was like, wow, this actually works. This is super cool, because COVID changed a lot of things. So I figured I wanted to do something where I met with my athletes, on a regular basis to discuss their training, how they're feeling. It gives me an opportunity to see them face to face so I can see if they're distressed, happy, if they seem to have lost too much weight, which can happen when you're running a bazillion miles. And I'm also a shaman in training, so we can do spiritual healing and
cool.
Kind of take it wherever it needs to go.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool that you have I guess, what would you call it? A holistic approach to to training and to mental health. And I think to a lot of us,
hippy dippy.
Yeah, well that works. I think to a lot of us, running is a big part of their, whatever, self-care. Is that the term?
It is. Yeah. And then you throw kids and jobs and busy schedules into the mix, and it's like, how do I find time for myself? So that's what I do, is I help athletes find time for themselves while being a part of their family and still being present. So sometimes we have to get creative, but it's been pretty incredible so far.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been having a stressful last few days, nothing bad, but just busy and hectic. And I was able to squeeze out some time today for an 8-mile run, which then just set me completely normal, but you can't always find that time also, So it's not so simple. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go run around for 90 minutes. You have to have the 90 minutes,
You do, but when people have kids in sports, if it's not a game and they don't have to watch, I've had people just run circles on a track or run around the school, and you find the time. Sometimes you have to do doubles, but it's pretty cool to kind of piece that together and make it work.
Yeah, and you can run to where you're going.
Yes, you can.
Talking about
commuting.
Talking about computers, right? Didn't we have an episode here once where I was on the last legs of an old computer and I needed to figure something out I needed a new one anyway, but it turned out I needed one immediately so I can make it in time for our interview. And so I live in Manhattan, so it wasn't that late yet. And I looked down at the ground. I was talking to Trevor, and there were my running shoes. So I literally ran to Best Buy.
Wait, so what's not too late in Manhattan? Midnight, 2 in the morning?
No, yeah, because the Best Buy probably closed at 8 or 9. So yeah, it was
Oh, they
probably
close early.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's the after hours Best Buy. You need a code word that I don't know. But but I'm not welcome back in the after hours Best Buy, unfortunately. But no, it was probably 8 o'clock or 7:30, and I just threw on the running. And it was half a mile away, so I threw on the running shoes and I ran to Best Buy. And then
That's amazing.
the funniest thing actually is, and if you're only running that far, you run a pretty good pace, right?
Yeah.
But as opposed to if you're in a race or exercise or whatever, when you get to Best Buy, nobody else is on your level. They're not.
Do you run it like you just stole it?
I ran it home like that. Yes, I ran it. I held it like a football, which was great, and I probably was even faster. But the problem was when I got to Best Buy, nobody else had the sense of urgency that I did. Nobody else had like adrenaline pumping and like.
This was like midsummer too, so you like ran
Yeah.
back like through like people doing like the dining
right.
on the streets and,
That's right.
and everything.
Amazing.
Like,
It was a
yeah.
Saturday night in the summer. Yeah, I was running by like sidewalk dining and stuff. It was pretty good. But yeah, like you said, you could find time. That could have been something I did just as a way to squeeze in a run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a big breakthrough. Well, I'm still sort of experiencing the breakthrough, but at the start of this year, I got a treadmill because I just I couldn't find the time. I'd much prefer to just go run in the woods, even like if it's short, but yeah, some days it's just not there. So
Yeah.
but I do sometimes wonder when I am stomping out in the woods and it's like ice everywhere and like mud and it's freezing and miserable. There's literally nobody else. And it's like, what does this sort of say about me?
It says New Englanders are tough. That's what I love about New Englanders. I've also gotten soft, by the way. I'm out in Arizona in the winter, but I've had my time.
Yeah.
And, there's a grit that comes with being a New Englander.
Definitely. Our special guest Katie Scheid was talking about how she like her running in France, like she lives in like southern France now, and she's like, it's super easy because I can just run whenever I want. It's my job and like it's beautiful. She's like, when I go home to Maine and there's people running every day, it's like those people are like, truly inspiring, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't run outside today. I'm planning on tomorrow I'm gonna run outside. But
Well, fun fact in Arizona, when it rains, you don't use the trails because you'll get like 15 inches of clay on your shoes and you ruin the trail. So you run inside. Yeah.
oh, okay. So everybody has to do it sometimes, or almost everybody.
Sometimes you do. Yeah. And I forgot my headphones today. So I had to watch they have the words growing across, what is that called? The closed caption on the TV.
That's
Mhm.
tough.
There was nothing good on.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Well, I wasn't really paying
Sure.
attention. I think I listened to a podcast and then
Oh,
some
it is-
music. Yeah.
It is New Hampshire primary day, right? As we're recording
Yeah.
this. So it's a good
It
thing you're
is.
not in New Hampshire. You can at least miss that coverage.
Well,
Yeah.
I still get all the text messages. Oh my goodness, I'm not kidding you. 15 to 20 political text messages a day, at least 10 to 15 phone calls. Wow.
Oh, that's right. Well,
insane.
it's a big deal. I mean, you guys are both New Hampshire people. You know how big a deal the
Yeah.
New Hampshire primary is,
Yeah, so like these candidates keep texting me and I tried to opt out and you can't even do it. I'm like, oh.
Oh no. Yeah. Once you're in the database, it just keeps getting like spun around, I'm sure.
Leave
Yeah.
Although
me alone and I'll vote for you.
Yeah. What do I have to do to get you to stop anything? Although maybe as a New Hampshire person, did they then leave you alone earlier or no?
I hope so because
Yeah.
like it seemed to be a little chill tonight. All day it got real bad today and now it seems to be because it's almost 9 now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The polls must be.
Yeah.
No,
Closed or
I'm not going to
closing,
spoil it
yeah.
for anyone listening to this 2 days from now after we
Okay.
put it out, but they did call it already.
Oh, they
Okay.
did.
Yeah,
All right.
but I don't think that's any spoilers regardless of what I say or don't say, so I don't really think that matters. But
Like
yeah.
spoiling a movie or who won the race.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody knows whether they're following or not.
Yeah. So the trails out where you are now, Arizona, it's like far less technical, right? Isn't it like it's like running on like a dirt path, right? Or I'm being
It,
mean, but it's like a much different running, right?
it is so flat. It is so not technical. I mean, there's a couple of rocks here and there that you can trip on. The worst is when you fall and land on a cactus. There are some
Ooh,
mountains, but they're only a mile high. Like that's
Huh.
they're phenomenal and they're hard. They're rocky and bouldery like the White Mountains, but they're only a mile. But they do gain about 1,200 feet in that mile. So you can
okay.
do
Ah.
repeats up and down these mountains. And but a lot of the mountains, there's those cool switchbacks, which is something you don't have in New Hampshire. So it's a really nice break to come out here and be able to run up a mountain and like run the whole thing. And you have
Yeah.
views every step of the way from like the moment you get out of your car, it's like cactuses and coyotes and snakes and tarantulas.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's
I
pretty
do love
fun.
seeing, I do love seeing local
Yeah.
animals when I run. If I don't usually run places where there are any. So if I do, I get overly excited, you know?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. And for our listeners that are unable to see us, which we sometimes have to remind ourselves, you
Oh
did just
yeah.
make an awesome like cactus sort of, move.
Yeah. So everyone please make that motion at home so they can
Yeah, make your own
Be a
cactus.
cactus.
be your own
Yeah,
cactus so you can
be
feel
a
the
cactus.
full experience of that moment.
Yeah, yeah. So, and actually, we're trying, so Dave is primarily more of a road runner, and he's like training for the Los Angeles Marathon right now and all this
Nice.
stuff that is a little bit foreign to me, but we are trying to get him out on a trail this year. And I guess you've run like everything in New England. I mean, I'm just going to assume you've run like most of the major routes and probably held
Yeah.
FKTs on like most of them too. So um, just for the listener to be aware. But what would you recommend for Dave? We were initially thinking Great Range Traverse in the Adirondacks, but that might be a little intense. And then, so I don't know, maybe something in like the 15-mile range. I don't know, Dave. What are you feeling up for?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's a funny line we take on this because Trevor and some other people are always trying to get me to do it, and I'm down. But yeah, all I run is road, and I mean, I did my first marathon in the spring. I'm doing my second one in March, and I'm also
Oh, that's great.
yeah, and I'm gonna be doing New York in the fall. So
Okay.
I'll have three down in my first year and a half. But I never really get in the trail too much. Although I did actually have like a moment. I was in Cardiff last week for work, and so I went out on like a nice little run up the river, and I ran like 5 miles north, 5 miles back up and down the river. But there was a part of it where I decided, like Trevor's just always saying to run trails, so I ran on this trail looking thing real close to the river, but it
Nice.
started getting real rocky and muddy, and so eventually I was like, all right, I'm gonna make my way back to the path, and so I do think I need maybe better trail running shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the White Mountains are really specific with shoes, and there's a shoe that isn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but the traction is amazing. The VJs, I don't know if you've seen these things.
No.
They
No.
are worth every penny. Oh
Okay.
my good, like
Is
you do
that the
not slip and
brand?
fall. It's the letter V and then J.
Okay.
They're and they work for wide feet. But this year with the rain, like I was black and blue everywhere. Like I'm falling, I'm tripping, the rocks are slippery. And my friend told me to get a pair of these shoes. So I got these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like my super shoes.
Whoa.
I don't
That's
fall. I'm
awesome.
PR and on everything. It was incredible. So definitely check those out.
So as a first
Are they,
timer out there, this might give me an advantage.
It
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you haven't done a Prezi Traverse, that's hands down like that's classic White Mountain. You get a
Yeah.
ton of killer views. Yeah,
Trevor just did
it's a
that.
day.
When did you do that? June?
I just did it in July for the
Oh.
first time and yeah,
Yeah,
it's incredible.
it's yeah, such a great
Um
route.
yeah. Maybe we should just do that, Dave. You'd love it.
Yeah, I'm down. I mean, I'm
It's
always
not very runnable too, which I think is, at
that's a
least for
selling point.
me. Well, I mean, because we're gonna end up going pretty slow.
Oh, okay. I'm
If you
not.
do all the summits, which you have to, it's slower. If you
Yeah.
bypass the summits, that trail is actually really nice and you can run most of it. And
Oh.
that's the hut traverse route is you don't hit the summits.
Oh, you don't hit the
So it's
summits on the hut. Oh, because you just hit the huts.
just Washington, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
that's what blew my mind on when I did the hut traverse. I'm like, oh, I've never even been on this trail, because there was no reason to ever take it, and could have run it a little bit better. It was so flat. I'm like, this is incredible.
Maybe that's
It
the one.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
but then you don't get to do the summits, and the summits are
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
And I
and I
think
guess you do the summit of Washington just because you're going
That's
over.
it.
There's no, yeah,
Yeah.
to Lakes of the Clouds. Yeah. Interesting. And you don't hit any of the other summits?
You don't hit actually,
No.
no, like you don't hit,
What's
I
after
can't,
what's after Washington, Monroe?
I don't think you hit Washington actually. No, you
No.
just do a hut traverse. No, you don't hit Washington. I'm sorry. I was thinking like the Prezi traverse. No, because when no, I was confused because the 100-mile route that I did, the AT goes on Washington.
Hmm.
But no, the hut traverse, you bypass all the summits and you just hit the hut. So you're basically going from Madison and then go all the way to Lakes, and you'll just take Gulfside to Crawford.
Maybe we should do that, Dave. We could
all
do
right.
a mini, we could either do Prezi with or without the summits or hut traverse,
Okay,
like
well,
partial hut traverse.
we're narrowing it down. I think one of those will be good because because so
We'll put it
far the
out to
only
the listeners.
yeah, maybe we could put a poll up on our Instagram and have people vote, and I'll just do whatever they say. 'Cause so far the
And the
only
Great
trail,
Range is fun too.
yeah, we could do a
It-
three-way vote.
Yeah,
As long
yeah,
as
we
we
could
get
put
at
it
least
out
four
there.
votes, then we we have an answer.
I picture this hut route being interesting because, well, I mean, one thing it's interesting to be sort of like running or trying to move fast on that terrain when most people around you, like in a nice summer day, just are not, like especially when you get to the top of Washington. So like there's that feature and that experience, but there's also like I can imagine going the hut routes, you're sort of getting off the beaten path a little bit. There's probably just less people.
Yeah, not quite as
Somewhat.
many. And I don't know how familiar you are with the path, but it just traverses the range and you still get killer views. It's still really pretty. You're just not going up on the summit. So if you wanted an easier day, you could do like a mini hut traverse and you could come out, hit Mizpah, and then go
Hmm.
out that way.
That'd be fun. I
Despite
don't
how
know,
much
Dave.
time I've spent in the White Mountains, I can't really visualize it. Although I have skied and hiked there a bunch, so I guess maybe I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
This
Well,
summer was nuts though. It looked like a pasture up there. The flower from all the rain. There
Really?
was
yeah,
so much grass, flowers.
yeah.
All right, I'll do it.
We can always do it your style, which is just by feel. Like little
Oh,
summit over there. Let's go, let's do that summit.
oh,
Let's not,
that's what I did. That's actually what I did in Wales. I didn't know exactly how far I was going to run. I knew I had to get some decent distances because I am trying to get ready for a marathon, but I just ran up the River Taff, and I kept going. And at some point, I got to the point where like the path ended, and I was just running in like a meadow.
Hmm.
I was running in a muddy field, and I was like, "Oh, this is probably a good time to turn around." And then I turned around and ran back, and I looked it up online when I got back, and it was right about 10 miles.
So is that technically your first trail run?
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so.
There.
My shoes are
It
a
all
little muddy.
starts. It all starts with the first one.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think running was probably invented in Wales, possibly. Maybe. I don't know.
Uh,
More likely Africa, but anyway.
yeah, more likely.
And we had to run from dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah. Running goes pretty far back. I heard a good thing on somewhere on a podcast about like why about running, like developing like what's it called? Evolutionarily, and why it developed. And I don't remember enough really to be talking about this, but it had to do
You
with
just make stuff up.
it had to do with the butt, and the butt makes it possible for you to run, and because of running, people could like track prey and stuff. And so that's where like distance running and humans come from. And it's more like I think it's more like one of those ultra runs, right? Where you're not even necessarily running the whole time, right? Where you're just going, and sometimes there's
Moving.
elevation, and you're just moving, and it's the ability to do it for a long time. So
With a spear in your hand
I don't know if
and a
I think
torch in the other hand.
probably, yeah. I don't remember if they said whether this is even pre-spear, but like this is way back, right? This is
This is
before
when
like
you were wrangling them.
it's probably before tools, right? It's probably when you were, killing your
Yeah.
prey for even more savagely.
Or just stealing eggs,
Yeah, yeah.
taking
Well,
babies. I mean,
that's for the sprinters, but this is for the distance runners.
Yeah. So people were they were ultra runners before anything else. They were born ultra runners.
They were ultra runners before they were civilized in any way.
Awesome.
civilization ruined us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. People temporarily forgot how to ultra run, and we're just now getting back to our to our natural state. Even
Like a
me,
new discovery.
yeah, I did my first trail run. What day is it? Yeah, a week ago today, or 8 days ago. Did my first trail run. I'm just finally getting back to my natural way to be.
Yeah. And Kristina, you can share any of this conjecture with your athletes that you'd like. If you need to give them inspiration someday, just tell them the ultra running, the story of ultra running, the history.
Yeah, it's all
It has to do with the butt.
exactly. They'll be like, what does it have to do with the
butt.
butt? You'll be like, they didn't really say, and also I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure it's got to do with the
And
butt.
they clearly didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about well, this is what we usually do, but we would love to hear more about I mean, I think so your company, White Mountain Endurance, now Aravaipa, I feel like it's just does an amazing service to like the community too. And so just thank you for that. It's awesome what you guys do.
Yeah, like I mean, ultimately the vision was to promote, I don't know, really good trail stewardship and, community and camaraderie and celebrate not only the winner, but the last place finisher and everybody in between and educate people because there are a lot of accidents in the mountains and promote wilderness first aid classes, host wilderness first aid classes, and, really teach the runners the importance of not throwing garbage on the trail, giving back and doing trail work, being nice to each other, being nice to other trail users. I mean, oh my gosh, we have to share trails with motorcycles, horses, runners, and
Hmm.
that's been a really cool experience in Arizona. And, I'm like, wow, if New Hampshire could just embrace like this sharing the trail thing and not littering and just being nice to people, and if trail runners can represent that, that was really what we wanted to bring to the mountains, which is why we started hosting the races and why we chose Aravaipa to partner with because, they were on board with our vision and our goals of doing something good for the community instead of taking from the community.
It's awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
rules. Yeah, and maybe people in the mountains, they don't have to be as socialized as well as people who are right as accustomed to sharing the road or the trail at all times, you know?
It's true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
crazy when you're like running down a trail and you have to stop and, be like, oh, what do you want me to do? You're on a horse. Do you want me to stand here or,
Yeah.
can I run? And it's just communication.
Because there's a whole bunch of people using the woods, experiencing it in different ways. And there is like,
Yeah.
sort of a lack of common etiquette, I'd say, amongst everybody.
Although the
There's
horses do poop on the trail and I can't poop on the trail,
Yeah,
I just,
so
I'm a little jealous, but
I feel like I get a thing in my head sometimes when I'm running around New York and I'll see a dog just like doing his business. I'll be
Yeah,
like,
right.
all right, man. Cool. Obviously, I guess I'm showing that I'm not
Yeah, we're
a
doing
dog
this
owner.
now. Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to run and he's just doing his business. But
I know,
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
yeah,
No wiping or anything. What the heck?
oh no, he doesn't care. And I see you do have a dog, so
I have, yeah,
I can
two
see it.
of them.
Oh, cool. What are the dogs' names?
Bennett and Gumbo. Bennett's the black and white one. Gumbo was here, and I guess he must have left.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah, they're
Are
cute.
they similar ages?
No, Bennett's 8 and Gumbo's 4.
Oh, cool.
Just like my kids.
But you know what's funny? Bennett has all the energy and loves running, and Gumbo's lazy. He likes walks, and he like doesn't want to run far fast.
I used to run with my now older dog, when he was younger, and it would be like dragging him on the leash, like just to get him to go. And then as soon as we'd turn around and start to go home, he'd be like, yeah, now like we're heading back
That's
to
what
the
he
house.
does.
Yeah.
And Bennett's like, can we just please keep going? And he's 8 now, so I'm not going to take him on super long
Yeah.
runs anymore.
Wow. How long can a
My
dog run? Like how?
What's the longest you've run with a dog?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, so I actually had another dog that I ran too much with, and by the time he was 6, he didn't want to run anymore. So
Uh-huh.
with Bennett, his longest run, I believe, was 23 miles, and I really try not to do more than 20 with him. Again, hiking and running are different. I think they can do more miles if you're just hiking, but if you're running and you're running at a certain effort, it's hard for them to keep up for that long. Little dogs do a little bit better, so they have more energy. But it's
Wow.
but some dogs can do 30 miles. Some dogs I
Wow.
know have done 50. It's all what you feel comfortable with. And, I after what I did to my other little dog, I was like, I'm not doing that to this one. So he can handle 10 to maybe 12 right now running, and I think he can
Mhm.
hike more.
My running partner, Lenny, who is a Dachshund Aussie cattle dog mix, he's like this little compact thing. And like he's a big hit on the trails and he doesn't want anything to do with anybody. But like, I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people are like, is he okay? Like, is he going to be okay with his little legs? I'm like, look at this guy. He's just like, he's crushing it. He's literally like
Yeah.
crushing everybody out here.
That's what I'm
Like, he's
talking
Well, they're
about.
awesome.
like
Yeah.
humans, as long as you train them and it's not just like weekend warrior stuff, they can handle, you know, enough as long as you work up to it and keep them fit.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So we're all trying to do.
Yeah. I got an email like last week that was like 2 months till the LA Marathon, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, is it already?
I don't know, when it's like 4 weeks out, panic starts setting in. 2 weeks out, you start coming up with excuses. Although
I don't
this year I
know.
was supposed to run Javelina. I got COVID a week before it, and
Ah,
I'd never been so sick in my entire life. I could not get up for a week,
Oh
and
my God.
were you feeling
but
good going into it?
really
Like you're,
good. And I've
yeah.
been
Oh,
heat
because you were
training.
saying you got the new shoes and everything. I guess you might not have used them out there.
Well, no, not out here, but I was like going out and like that when the sun wanted to kill me and getting these heat rashes and figuring out what I needed to do to run safely, the long shirt, covering myself. I was ready. And then all of a sudden, like I woke up one day with a sore throat. A couple days later, I thought I was gonna die,
Ah,
102 fever.
Damn.
And I was actually sick until 3 weeks ago. I started feeling better. It messed me up for a while. So that was
wow.
October, and so I'm psyched I can run 12 miles now, and hoping to keep increasing that number.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. So one question about race directing, because Dave and I mean, we'll come up short of calling ourselves race director, but we've hosted some sort of informal, I don't know, what would you call them, Dave? They're
We had a
like,
race. I mean, it
we
was
had a
The fat
race.
asses?
what's that? No, we
Oh,
hosted
it
a
was going to be a fat ass. It was going to
what's
be a
that?
fat ass,
Okay.
but we were too late to the ultra
Oh,
sign up game, right? We had
we
to like declare it 90 days in advance, and we were in like
Okay.
we
30 or
hosted a
something.
mile race this summer. That
Oh,
was
how
well,
cool.
it was cool, and the John Lindsay track in Manhattan, and also virtually you could compete and just
Yeah.
submit a mile time. And we had I don't know, we had 40 people do it or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
We had like we accepted any category of ambulation. So like
very
somebody
inclusive.
submitted like a cartwheel category, moseying, there were walkers,
Yeah,
running was the most heavily contested, but
That's awesome.
the best way to win a category was to create your own category because very
Pogo
likely,
stick?
mhm.
yeah, nobody did it. So if you had done a mile on a focus stick, you would have won. You would have won the category.
There were two skippers, weren't there? We had two in the skipping category, which is actually hard, apparently.
Yeah, yeah, we had because one of the people I know who skipped is a pretty serious amateur ultra runner, and I think he said about how difficult it actually ended up being to do, which makes sense when you think about it, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
I do want to say we're starting to wind down on time, so we might want to move towards our closing thoughts and feelings.
Our closing. Well, I do have
Oh,
to
we're getting sentimental now.
Yeah,
as
I
we move
always do at
on
the end. Yeah.
to the next chapter.
Shall I cry? Do I need a tissue?
It's
So I did
encouraged.
want to. So I did actually. I was building up to one question, and then
Okay, let's do it.
we can close.
Okay.
So we're hosting another race, which is unsanctioned, and granted, it's probably going to have about 5 participants, but it's in my local woods, on like town conservation land, and I slapped up a sign on the trailhead today for it that just sort of has the details, and it can be a 4 hour, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it's not most laps or mileage. It's a set course, but it's like popular vote is going to be the winner. So the runners are going to like select it. But I guess the question is unsanctioned running on town conservation land. Is this a no-no? Should I declare it? I mean, or should like, I guess what's your take on this?
If there's no exchange of money,
None.
you are allowed to do that, and it's not a problem. It's always the right thing to do is to just reach out and be like, hey, I'm doing this unofficial with a group of friends. And that's
Hmm.
technically what a fat ass is. There's no money. So as long as there's no exchange of money, no bid numbers, and you just kind of go out there and do something fairly quietly, then it's not an issue. It's when money becomes exchanged, and that's where
Mm.
permitting gets weird. And that's why you need it, because all of a sudden you've exchanged money. Now the liability changes for that landowner. And
Hmm.
that's why you have to pull permits, you have to get written permission from landowners. It is a dance. And if you guys ever wanted help, you know, doing
Well,
something
thank
like
you.
that, I could kind of talk you through it.
Well,
I just
I'm
wanted to
glad.
not feel guilty.
Yeah,
I,
no, like I mean,
I'm gonna have to
if
say
you wanted to
we
reach
have
out,
10 seconds left.
10
Uh-oh.
seconds.
10
Uh-oh.
seconds.
Now it's 4. Christina, thank
Uh-oh.
you so much for joining us. This is the Power Motion Picnic Hour. Oh, thank you so much, Christina, for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed that hilarious ending as much as we and maybe our listeners did as well.
Yeah. Our our limitation from the free version of Zoom has finally caught up to us.
I think it's good to constrain yourself, instead of rules or harsh conditions. Kind of like out on a trail run, an ultra run, where the weather is being a little bit oppressive. We're trying to recreate that same kind of scenario, but in a
Yeah.
in a podcasting environment.
I think right at the end pulled through. You got a thank you in, which was important.
We're gonna
Um,
see. Yeah, did I? I wasn't sure if I did.
well,
If you heard it, I
thank you,
did.
thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, Christina. If it did not make it, wonderful conversation. Really enjoyed it, and
Yes.
yeah, best of luck with all the continued race directing and running and coaching and life successes.
Yeah, I'm excited to check in and hear from her down the road because as she may or may not know, when you're a guest on this show, we we continually message you the foreseeable future and reference you in all our episodes
Yeah,
to
once a
come.
special guest, always a special guest. If she didn't pick up on that when we or specifically I name dropped Katie Scheid casually about
Yeah,
just special guest Katie talking about running in France versus Maine.
exactly. And I can't wait for our next interview with whoever the next special guest is so we can reference this past episode with Christina and something she
Right.
we talked to her about this time.
We can mention how we discovered the history of ultra running and
Yeah.
really humanity
Yeah.
together.
My favorite part was when I talked about things that I didn't know about and didn't express correctly. And like, but there is, if you do go to your local library or more knowledgeable podcast site, there's a
Yeah.
lot to learn out there, kids. There's a lot to learn about evolution and history and running. And
I have to imagine it's a surprise sometimes for special guests when they find that we're actually just talking about things that we don't even know very much about.
no,
But I think I hope and I think it's a bit of a relief sometimes to, it's not like we're grilling them with questions. It's more of a conversation.
yeah, it's more of like 3 people. And the only one of them who's never had a dog is telling the other 2 about dogs. And that's basically our vibe. I'm like, yeah, I run by some of those guys in the street. They don't know what they have no manners. Basically, that's what we're doing out here. I'm running. We're talking.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I think it was good.
I had a
We
great
learned a
time.
lot as always. Yeah, I had a great time
I had a
too.
great time, and we learned, and it was very nice. I guess we shouldn't eat up too much clock here. But what else do we have to catch up on? I did allude to the run that I went to in Wales that I
Oh yeah, do you want to talk about that a bit, or
Well,
any?
we covered it. Yeah, I
It was your
left my
first trail run. I mean,
yeah, I ran on the trail portion very briefly, but it was lovely. I ran up the River Taff. I ran by Cardiff Castle. Um,
enter an applause track. Go
yeah. Oh,
ahead.
let's do it. Let's do it. I
Yeah.
thought I when I was doing the run and I got to the 5 miles north and I was running in a meadow and decided it was time to turn around. I was in my head. I was like, I bet you I ran clear out of Cardiff. And when I got back and looked it up, like I certainly had not. I was still in the city limits, but in my head I was like I thought it was the end of the 400 blows where he runs until he gets to the ocean. And that did not happen. This is still in the city. Yeah, but like it was the thing I like to do. Like the good thing about the river being right there was I didn't have to bring my phone.
hmm
I was like, here's the river. I'll just run along the river, and then
Yeah,
the river will bring me back home. So I got to go out for a long period of time with nothing, you know. I mean, I was very it was probably the most enjoyable run that I had done since the Providence Marathon, actually.
wow.
Yeah, it was a magical, wonderful run. There were people all around, you know, Welsh people walking their dogs. I ran by like kind of like a middle school field where kids were having soccer practice.
Yeah,
There were a lot of runners out, a lot of cyclists, people walking. There's a lot of people out, despite the fact that it was in like below 40 degrees. There were tons of people out.
that's awesome.
I
That's
I
awesome.
I thought I wasn't dressed warm enough because I wanted to go out for a long time, and immediately so I ran like from my hotel through the city a little bit to the park by the castle, which is where the river is. And the second I got to the park, a group went running by
Oh, nice.
of Welsh people, all wearing just like short sleeves and shorts. And I was
Wow.
like pretty bundled up. So I decided I was safe from the elements.
That's great. I think it's awesome. I mean, part of it is, it was in Wales, but
Mm.
I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But that your first trail run was such an awesome experience.
Yeah, and mostly it wasn't really a trail run, but I did, like I said, I really ran mostly along the path. But at some point I saw
Well,
what was
it was a taste of it.
yeah, there was something that was a wooded trail, and I ran along it for I don't know, 3/4 of a mile.
Hey,
And
yeah,
yeah, and I said I got to get off this, but it was good. I crossed over the river a few times. There's a bunch of bridges, so I crossed over back and forth, and yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I think we can clarify with Christina in a follow up maybe. Um, I think she would count it as a trail run. Um, for sure. We can also make sure we're clear as we I mean, I think the Krampus Classic, our guerrilla trail run in Sudbury next or February 10th. I got the sense that we're okay because there's no monetary exchange
Yeah,
of any type.
I think we're good to go. So I think we could start promoting that, which we've already been doing for a month.
It depends. I mean, there will be free Bobos. That's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that counts. There's a prize, a trophy of sorts, which probably holds negative value since it's something most people would just want to get rid of.
Yeah, what do I do with this now?
Yeah.
Where do I put this?
But for many people will hold quite significant
Yeah.
other value, I
Yeah,
suppose.
there's other types of value.
Non-monetary value.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I had a very similar, like sort of different, different scenery, different place run out west in California, and I ran around Golden Gate Park and had like a similar. I mean, I've done this type of running before, but it reminded me more of running in like Central Park than the type of running I do around here because
Yeah.
like um
Is it hilly?
there are hills, but it's not hilly like you think of like those crazy San Francisco
No.
streets.
Okay. It's hilly like Central Park.
Um, there's a hill called Strawberry Hill that I took a little bumble up
Nice.
the trail. It was actually like a little. It reminded me of like yeah, like a hiking trail. I guess it
Hmm.
was. It was just like a mini 300-foot hiking trail. But you get up to the top and there's like beautiful views. You can see Golden Gate and then I ran by the bison paddock
Ah.
and they
Yeah.
have bison.
I
They
didn't
were
know.
originally like donated by somebody, I think, a
I
long
had
time
no
ago.
idea. I've never been to San Francisco.
I had no idea either. I've been to San Francisco, but never to this beautiful park.
I've been to Oakland. I've been so close.
Very close.
I was there on tour once, and we had played San Jose, and then we were playing Oakland the next night, but we stayed in Oakland 2 nights in a row, so we drove straight from San Jose to Oakland. I was really excited I was going to explore San Francisco the next day. And then that morning we got a call from our like PR person for the tour that I had to go to Palo Alto and do a radio interview at Stanford.
Podcast.
Yeah, yeah, sort of a precursor to what we now today would call a podcast. And so I never got to explore the city of San Francisco.
Bummer. Well, in my experience, it's easy to go to San Francisco and not go to Golden Gate Park, which I wish I had done this much earlier. So for all of our listeners, next time you're in San Francisco, go to Golden Gate Park.
If you're in San Francisco and you're looking to either run or host a free concert with your band and the Grateful Dead and the Flying Burrito Brothers, don't sleep on Golden Gate Park. That's where you want to be.
That's right. Yeah, I looked for many of the sites. I saw Lindley Field. I saw the polo field.
Wow.
Where the Love-In was. I guess I was about 57 years late, but
there's
now soccer nets and far fewer hippies.
Yeah,
it smelled like the Grateful Dead in a few parts, but
yeah, it smells like that around a lot of parts of New York as well. It smells like what it must have smelled like when they played the Fillmore East.
Yeah, their influence continues to this day. But anyway, so I think in terms of I've got a gear shed. I could probably rattle through that. I mean, anything else on songs of the week or
no? I'm good.
Other business? No.
My business is all Welsh, and otherwise I got nothing.
All right, so I tried on some shoes.
Oh, whoa. Okay, let's hear what shoes.
Yeah. So now it's been a few weeks, so I hope I get all the names right. But I think it was the North Face Vective Sky.
Whoa.
The Saucony Endorphin Rift, which is their popular endorphin line brought to a trail shoe.
Okay, yeah, I've looked up the road endorphin before.
Yeah, there's quite a few endorphin. There's a pro and there's a mid-range, the speeds, I think. There's a whole endorphin line.
Okay.
Well regarded. And the Hoka Challenger 7.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll try to just go through it. Vective Sky I felt were a little I need a little more cushion. They felt like a really fast shoe that somebody like Kristina or Katie could probably shred in, but for me it was probably too fast.
A good race day shoe or maybe a shorter distance.
That's right, a race day shoe. I would be a great shorter distance race day shoe. I think that's a great way to describe it.
You'll do your next 5K in them.
Yeah, and they do make a Vective Pro that is but I think it's got a plate and stuff I don't need that probably actually wouldn't be good for the terrain that I run. And it was also $250. I think it's since dropped, but that's possibly another North Face that could work.
Okay.
But so it was not the Vective Sky. I went out running. So I thought I had chosen the Rifts, the endorphin Rifts.
Yeah.
And on my first run, they felt a little big, so I was I got to size down. I was kind of swimming around in the front. And thanks to the fantastic return policy of runningwarehouse.com,
possible future sponsor, yeah,
possible future sponsor, able to send them back. And even though I had run in them, I ended up with the Challengers.
Hey, applause edit in right here, cheering. Crowd's going wild.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And you're happy?
I'm happy. Yeah, they're one of the first. The sixes were a shoe that I really loved that I've had several pairs of, and the sevens I'm liking so far too. But I've run mostly on tread with them. Interestingly.
Yeah, and you're a new treadmill person yourself, so
yeah, and they're a road to trail type shoe, so probably shouldn't be running on the tread too much. I just more wanted to try them out.
Yeah, you got to break them in or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
I went into a running store in Cardiff, mostly so I could ask I think I mentioned I was going to do this, and I did. I mentioned I asked the person working there where I should run. And she suggested running along the river. And I said, oh, good. I'm like, is it hilly? Are there hills? And she said, oh, no, don't worry. It's not. I was like, oh, well, I need hills. I'm training for a marathon. And she he wasn't as engaged in the conversation as maybe I'd hoped. But that's okay. It was good advice, and I did run it, and it was my favorite run in about a year. So
Awesome.
I shouldn't be complaining. While I was in the running store, I picked up a shoe that I've considered wanting to try, which is the Asics Gel Kayano like 20 or maybe it's not 20, but the Asics Gel Kayano, and I picked it up, and I was waiting and I was looking at it, and it's like, man, this is a fat shoe on the bottom. I've never run in a shoe that fat, you know? It looked like something the Spice Girls would wear, not while running. So anyway, I still haven't run in it. But future gear shed, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I won't.
It's you get I know they're like, like a boat on the heel. The Hokas are a little bit like that. And I like it for the type of running I do, because I can just like mash over like roots and stuff, and like anything. Granted, they are a little bit tippy sometimes. I do fall in them. Don't get me wrong, but like for some stuff, you can just kind of like gives you like a lot of confidence just to like go over like uneven terrain and stuff.
I feel like I need less and less. We used to talk when we started about like knees and cushion, and I feel like I might need less cushion than I used to need. I feel like my legs have gotten stronger and my knees have gotten less, I don't know, less old manish. And like that breaking glass sound on a Casio keyboard. Oh, now I have to download it, I guess. But my knees don't feel like that anymore.
Well, that's great. I think there's theories about that, like that go both ways, of course. But some people say like the cushion sort of takes away from your feet actually doing what the original ultra running humans did and what they're supposed to do to like build muscle and be resilient and all that, and like have good feel and all that. And but then other people say, well, cushion like takes significant impact off of things like your joints and bones and knees and stuff.
I don't know what to give credit to. It might be because I'm rotating my shoes. I actually think that's been helping a lot. And I actually ran that 10 miles in my Tracksmith Elliott runners, which is only the second time I've ever done a 10-mile run in those.
How'd they hold up?
They were great. I like them more and more than I didn't used to like them as much. And now I find them more to my taste. So possible future sponsor, Tracksmith.
And finally, VJ. I mean, I think that's one you're going to have to check out for your trail shoe.
That sounds like a great idea.
After the glowing gear shed from Kristina.
When I get a chance, I'll gear shed that one. I'll head over to, that sounds like an REI kind of shoe.
Oh, it absolutely is. I just looked it up. I think they might have it there.
Well, I'll go.
Maybe they have ones that like show up when you search for VJ.
Well, I'm going to go to REI and ask the people about them anyway. They like when I show up and ask questions. And it's very close. We mentioned my half a mile run to Best Buy. Well, REI is 2/3 of the way to Best Buy. So you do the math, listeners. Nice. We're running out of time, I suppose. So
so we'll have to pick that up next time
at our season 2 super finale episode. And until then,
onward. Special guest
Kristina Folcik.
This is the